Hello, I am Father Casimir Nema, SVD of Radio Veritas Asia. Welcome to this special program, Conversations with the Asian Bishop. It is an honor, privilege, and blessed to have with us today the Most Reverend Marcelino Antonio Malabanan, Bishop of the Diocese of Boac, Marinduque, and Chairman of the Commission on Social Communication and Mass Media CBCP. He is known Bishop Junie. Bishop Junie, welcome.
Thank you, Father Casimir, and thank you to all our viewers.
Bishop Marcelino Antonio Malabanan was born in Manila on May 18, 1969, to Marcelino Antonio B. Malalit Sr. and Bernardita M. Maralit. He studied philosophy at St. Francis de Sales Major Seminary in Lipa City from 1985 to 1989 and theology at the University of Navarra in Pamplona, Spain from 1989 to 1994. In 1999 and 2000, he completed his licentiate in Church History at the Pontifical University of the Holy Cross in Rome. He was ordained a priest for the Archdiocese of Lipa on March 13, 1995. Following his ordination, he served as the Vicar of Immaculate Conception Parish for a year, followed by 3 years of teaching at St. Francis de Sales Major Seminary in Lipa City. From 2003 to 2009, he served as Vice Chancellor, Professor, Educator, and Dean of Studies at St. Francis Theological Seminary, where he later served as Rector until 2013. He also served as Chairman of the Construction Committee of St. Francis de Sales Theological Seminary from 2006 to 2014. From 2011 to 2013, he was pastor at Santo Niño Parish in Marawoy, Lipa City, and Invención de la Santa Cruz Parish in Alitagtag, Batangas from 2013 to 2014, and a member of the Council of Priests of the Archdiocese of Lipa. Father Marcelino Antonio Malabanan of Lipa Archdiocese was appointed on December 31, 2014 as the 4th Bishop of Boac in the Philippines by Pope Francis.
You have served Diocese of Boac for more than 7 years. Can you provide us the general picture of your diocese?
Well, to give that general picture, I would like to, say an anecdote which I had with the Holy Father when I was a new bishop in the year 2015, September of 2015, when we had that audience of the new bishops with the Holy Father. And I would always remember that the instruction that they gave us was to approach the Holy Father, say our name, and mention our diocese. And I did that with the Holy Father. Pope Francis, when he heard the word Diocese of Boac, or the name Diocese of Boac, he suddenly stopped and with a puzzled face said, Boac. Then I told him, Holy Father, it's a small island, province of Marinduque. And I would remember that because he started laughing. He started laughing and then he told me, now I know why I assigned you there. Diocese small, bishop small. So, if I'm going to give a picture of my diocese, the small diocese, it has only 6 municipalities and 14 parishes. For big dioceses or archdioceses in the Philippines, our diocese is almost like a vicariate for them.
In 2018 interview titled Heart Talk with Salom World, you stated that you were crying during prayer upon learning that Pope had chosen you a bishop. Can you tell us more about that story and perhaps the overall vocation of you being a bishop?
Well, it's a long story because it was December of 2014 when I was asked to go to the nunciature. And I had no idea I was going to be appointed a bishop. I simply thought that I was being asked to go there because of the visit of the Holy Father. The Holy Father was planning to visit the Philippines on January of 2015. So when I went to the nunciature, I was expecting that they were going to ask me to do something to help in that visit. And I even thought that I was going to be a translator for the Holy Father because I know Spanish. But when I got there, the nuncio, Archbishop Pinto, gave me a letter. And that letter was a letter that when I opened, surprised me and amazed me because suddenly I was puzzled. It said that I was being appointed the Bishop of the Diocese of Boac. I would always remember the first question I asked the nuncio was, am I allowed to not accept the appointment? But he told me that I have 5 to 10 days to pray over it. And then from there, let's see what my decision was. And I went home to Batangas, where I am really from, to the Archdiocese of Lipa. And my first action, as always, was go to the Carmelite Monastery, where I am so comfortable praying. And I went to the Blessed Sacrament. And when I was in the Blessed, in the front of the Blessed Sacrament, I prayed and I asked God if it was really His will that I would be a bishop. Knowing my past, I was hesitant to accept the appointment, but at the same time, of course, asking God if it is really what He wanted for me. So while praying, for whatever reason, it was a first in my spiritual experiences that I was suddenly flooded by memories, images of my past, and that past hurt me because I had a very colorful past, some of it very sinful. Everything that was not good was suddenly reminded, and it felt very heavy for me. I felt so guilty that I suddenly thought that God really wanted me not to accept it. I felt so guilty that I started crying. I started crying in front of the Blessed Sacrament because the burden of my guilt was so clear to me. So with that, I went home. I went to my parish, and when I was in the parish, after a few days, I received a call from Monsignor Horgan, who was the secretary of the nuncio back then. And he was asking me, so what is your answer? So I told him, I'm not going to accept anymore the position of a bishop. But he asked me also the question, why? So I had to tell him my story of what happened to me before the Blessed Sacrament. And I told him of the experience itself. Then he told me, maybe you would like to pray more. And I smiled and said, Monsignor, I don't know if anything will change if I pray more. I don't think I would like to do that because I felt that if I prayed more, I'll feel more guilty. But he told me, if you want, you can talk to somebody about your experience. Because when you receive the appointment, the instruction is always sub secreto pontificio. Meaning to say, I cannot speak of it to anyone. No? Because it is under that law of sub-secret, no? Under the Pope's papal secret. No? So I couldn't tell anyone about the experience. But now, Monsignor Horgan told me, you can talk to somebody. He asked me, whom would you like to talk to? And I said, I would like to talk to Bishop Reynaldo Evangelista, who was my predecessor here in the Diocese of Boac, and who's a good friend because he's also from the Archdiocese of Lipa. And when I talked to Bishop Ray Evangelista, I was given that permission, I told him of my experience. And it changed everything because when he heard my experience, my story, he told me, you know what, Junie, now for you, I think you already know what a bishop is really all about. It is not a position, but rather a mission. Because now you know you're going to become a bishop, not because you're a perfect priest, you're a good priest, but because of the goodness of God. So now, with great clarity, you know, it's not a position. It is a mission. And then he gave me an instruction. Go back to the Blessed Sacrament and pray. Now, don't ask anymore what God wants from you. Just simply tell Him, I trust you. So, that was my experience basically. It's a spiritual experience that brought me towards the acceptance itself of the appointment, but with great humility, knowing that I am but a sinner, and it is only with God's grace that I have become a bishop.
From these ministries and programs, what are the biggest challenges or obstacles you face? And most importantly, I believe, how do you tackle them?
Well, again, I always believe that obstacles should be part of the experience. I always joke around saying and telling people that without them, there is no excitement. No? So I always say that the obstacles will be part of it. And I think one of the things that obstacles remind us about is that they remind us that we need God first and foremost, and then we need others. Because when you do it alone, not only will there be obstacles, you will really find it almost impossible to do something about something. No? So the obstacles that we keep on seeing is one, that we are in an island. And information is very crucial. For one, for example, when we were rebuilding houses, a lot of people didn't even know where Marinduque is, our diocese. A lot of people didn't even know that we were hit by the typhoon. So I always thought that that is one obstacle that we have had. The lack of information about us. Second is that, of course, some people would always question the motivations that you have had or you have when you have a project. But I always believe that's part of the process, because if people don't doubt you, then you don't push yourself enough to show that what you're doing is valid and true. And sometimes when people doubt you, they become now the source of your own, I think, ability to just simply show that what I'm doing is real, what I'm doing is not for myself. I become more challenged to be more transparent in things. So I think the doubts that people have when we have projects is good for us. And yet, when these obstacles come, when these challenges come, that's when I realize that's where the mission really is seen. Not because it's easy, but because this is what I have to do. Then it becomes a mission. And that's why I always say the obstacles themselves are a reminder of how much we need God. Because without those obstacles, I might forget to just simply tell God, Lord, I need you now. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is the limits of my capacity. But again, the obstacles themselves are part of the process for me.
Your motto is Fiat mihi secundum verbum tuum, be it done unto me according to thy word.
I have always had that experience that when I am in trouble, the Blessed Mother finds a way for me to come back.
How do you see not only women's participation, but it's women empowerment in the church?
My mother is one of my greatest examples. She has been very much part of who I am in so many ways because of how she spoke to me, how when I'm wrong, she would remind me. When I need some wisdom, she will give counsel to me. That's a woman. And I think if the church becomes that kind of a church, hopefully now it is happening, I think we will grow more as a church.
Radio Veritas Asia, the voice of Asian Christianity. Radio Veritas Asia mobile app offers services in English and 21 Asian languages. Download the Radio Veritas Asia app to get more videos from Radio Veritas Asia. Comment, like and share.